Hello, fellow film enthusiasts. Welcome back to the College Cinephile. We just saw the latest installment of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Jungle series. So, that was cool. The movie I'm talking about is Rampage. Directed by Brad Payton and starring The Rock, Jeffrey D. Morgan, and Naomi Harris. Rampage was quite a movie, but was it a smash hit or was it a flippity flop? Let's talk about it. With me is Mr. Action himself, Ian. So, what did you think of Rampage?
I enjoyed it. It was fun. I went in I prepared myself to be let down almost because of the kind of movie it was. I prepared myself. Basically, based off of Pacific Rim, I was ready for a big monster movie to not be what I thought it could be or whatever. But it surprised me. It had a very good opening sequence, which I know you commented on.
Yeah.
And it had, it took a little bit for them to start like rampaging, but once they did, it was really good.
Yeah, like I think from watching the trailers and like we all know what we're getting into, this is just another like 90s like monster smash kind of like genre action movie. The only thing that I was like really hoping for was for it to follow the game in sense of it being like a smash fest and like just monsters going at it and everything.
Yeah.
And we get that, and then of course that goes into the issue. We get it, but it's in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Granted, the last 20 minutes are freaking awesome. Like when they throw down, it's pretty dope. But it takes a while to get there.
Definitely. Like the last 20 to 25 minutes, the last like that, because there's like 3 big like incidents that happen in the movie that kind of lead to everyone like coming together at the final bit. And once that happens, you see the carnage from everything just happen at once, and it's so cool. Like visually, it's really awesome to see, but it's also not that long. Like,
yeah,
which you could almost not like. I hate to say expect, but in a lot of monster movies, there's like a couple minor fights, or even like boxing or whatever movies you want to look at. There's a couple minor fights that lead to the final big one, which this is kind of exactly how this was.
Right.
I think that's a solid path.
Yeah, and I can see also the argument being made that like if you want the entire movie to be a smash fest, like 30 minutes in, it's going to become like kind of lackluster.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Okay, like yeah, we've seen this like a couple times already. So I can see that, but if you're going to wait that long for the smashing to start happening, at least make it interesting. Like a lot of the, like you stated before, the opener, it had a really surprisingly good opener. Like it really drawed you in, it got you into the story, and I was like, okay, cool. And then we see The Rock interacting with George in that gorilla sanctuary that you see in the trailer. And that scene was pretty good. And then after that, it's just generic storytelling. Like
yeah.
One of the things I found really weird is that they take the time to introduce like The Rock's like friends within the gorilla sanctuary, and they're only there for that part. And
yeah.
then and once the story starts going, they're gone.
Yeah, they're only in the first like 15-ish,
Yeah.
maybe 50, not even 15 minutes.
Yeah, so why even take the time to develop them?
Like they're all individually introduced and
Right.
explained, and then they're just like, okay, bye. Like they're gone.
And the characters we're left with, like you have the main chick played by Naomi Harris. She was okay. She serviced her part. Like I think she could have been a much stronger character. They try to give her like kind of like a dark backstory, but
not even. I wouldn't say
yeah.
dark, but they definitely tried to give her a sad
Yeah, an
backstory, like a
emotional one.
reason for her to be there.
Right.
And it kind of worked, but then it didn't really. You didn't really understand it until later in the movie, where it kind of explained, oh, this is what happened because of that. You know, like the dots didn't connect until later in the movie, which I guess I didn't have a problem with. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I liked.
Definitely the best 2 characters out of the movie are The Rock, because
Rock.
he's good at what he does, charisma.
Yeah.
Though, like, I will admit that it was kind of difficult for me at first to get into his character of him being like a social outcast.
Yeah.
Like they kind of like make it work, and I can kind of see it, but him being The Rock takes away from that because he's all like, ha, and it's like, you can't really, but the other great character in this movie is Jeffrey D. Morgan's character.
Oh my God.
He's freaking awesome.
Jeffrey D. Morgan's character was a highlight of he's a highlight in anything he's in. Let's be honest. His charisma and his style, his swagger, just amazing. My favorite, or not even my favorite, but one of the points in the movie that I like a lot doesn't have any monsters in it. It's when The Rock meets Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and it's just like immediately like who's cooler, and they're like face to face, like getting in each other's faces.
Yeah.
Who's a better dude? Who's cooler? Who's more macho? And you're just like, I got tense. I was like, I was ready for them to fight, and they didn't. But I was still like, oh man, two like very charismatic dudes like just about to go at it, and I was like, whew.
Hell of a day, huh? Science experiments falling from the sky.
Having George on that plane is a big mistake.
I think we'll be all right.
I personally saw him as like a cowboy Negan,
Oh,
but
always.
I had no problem with that because Negan is a really awesome character.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was a great antagonist in the sense that like the way like they squared off. They didn't fight, but they had like that like tension with them. And I kind of wish he was the main antagonist. And that's, again, my other issue with this movie that we talked about last night is the villains. Like, Jeffrey D. Morgan's not the main villain. We get, like, these two corporate people that I did not like.
Yeah, it's like this corporate lady who had been trying to run things, and then some, like, trust fund kid that had all the money that she was, like, manipulating.
Yeah.
Like, they're the villain. And they, like, they discovered the serum, or like they made the serum to rampage the animals. That's what they called it.
Right.
Like, and they made that, and so they're seen as the villain. But through the whole time, it doesn't flow as like a villainous act. Like you don't understand why they needed these hyper modified, mutated animals.
Yeah, like they made it just cause.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They try to play it off as like they're kind of like video game enthusiasts in a way, because there's so much on the nose like Rampage like references about like the project.
Absolutely.
And they even got like Rampage arcade games inside their office, but they never reference anything. It's just there, and
Or
go ahead.
no, I was saying like, or how about like when they're trying to find the file on the computer, it's like, oh, it's under RPG, like. Like it was just they're trying real hard to not be obvious, but it was just so on the nose, like hardcore. But it was fine though. Like going in, I wasn't expecting to see like Shape of Water with The Rock. Like that's not the film I was expecting to see. I was expecting to see a monster smash 'em movie, and it delivered. It was a fun, entertaining movie. You got some cool scenes with some various actors that I'm a fan of. Like Joe Manganiello is in there for a little bit. He plays like a covert, like the leader of a covert ops team, and he's there. He's kind of just there to show how terrifying the wolf creature is.
Yeah.
But it works, and he's there and he's cool. The Rock is obviously super awesome through the whole thing. I don't think he can do anything wrong. Like.
Yeah, like honestly, but like a side note from what you said before, like you weren't expecting Shape of Water with The Rock. If you know the plot of The Shape of Water, you would not want to see a Rampage Shape of Water. That would be.
I mean, maybe. My point with that comment, with the Shape of Water comment, is that you can't go into every movie expecting to see an Oscar-nominated performance.
Right.
That's kind of my whole point with that comment, is that you need to go into at least movies that you know are just going to be fun, like the Transformers or the new Ninja Turtles, or I can keep naming Michael Bay movies if you want. But my point is that you need to go in there expecting levity, expecting fun action scenes, and not go in there hardcore nitpicking, grading.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where I felt I messed up when I was reviewing Pacific Rim Uprising, was that I saw it through the lens of comparing it to all of some of the other work that had been released before that point. I needed to kind of, yes, I could compare it to the first one, but not compare it to everything, and just see it as its own monster movie, not expect much more from that. you know?
Yeah, I'm totally for that. Like, you got to have your balance within the film world. You got to have your popcorn movies. And, you know,
Definitely.
that's what Rampage is. It's supposed to be a popcorn movie. My issue with it is that, like, I just wish the smashing was, like, more. Like,
Yeah.
you only get it at the very end, and you have to sit through an otherwise, like, generic movie along the way.
Yeah, the middle of it is pretty kind of generic. It's
Yeah.
pretty basic. Like if you at home, you can just guess kind of the chain of events from the trailers, and you kind of see how it would end, and kind of go for that. I would like to point out that in the movie, they are like the final climax of the movie happens in Chicago. Because why wouldn't it? A lot of movies tend to focus on Chicago.
Yeah,
But
the Bears.
exactly. Sorry, the Bears.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I
No,
threw you
no,
off
no,
there.
you're good, you're good. So, in the movie though, there's like a military unit. They're like, okay, evacuate Chicago, and they're like, okay, cool, like we'll start evacuating, and then it kind of checks in with him. He's like, okay, we're 50% evacuated, and then it comes back. He's like, we're 100% evacuated. In the next scene, after he says we're 100% evacuated, the giant crocodile monster flips over a tour boat that's like full of people, and they all die. And you're like, that's not evacuated. Like, they're not out of the city. And it was just funny to see that they were trying to be like, oh, we have to save everyone possible. But like, if you're really watching, a lot of people die in that movie. Like, terribly
Yeah.
just eaten or just stomped on or stepped on.
Yeah.
Like cars were being like tossed in the air, and they were just landing on people or like building pieces. Oh man, it was just a lot of people died, which is kind of what you're expecting for a movie about monsters blowing up cities. But don't make it a point to say we've evacuated. They say we've evacuated 100% of the city, and in the next scene, tons of people are dying. Like,
Right. Like, that's basically a choice you have to make with popcorn movies. Do you want us to care about the civilians, or do you want us not?
Right.
You know, like you have movies like Pacific Rim. They're just like throwing around and everything, and like you're pretty sure people are dying, but you know you're not there to save the people. You're there for the action. For Rampage, like they juggle it a bit. Like they don't want us to care about the civilians. They just want the action, but at the same time they do. Especially there's like an ending scene after like everything's like calmed down.
Yeah.
And The Rock's like looking around, and he's like, and he just sees all these people getting helped by like Red Cross, and he's like, we saved a lot of people today. And it's just like, no, you didn't. A lot of people died. Like, do you want me to care or not?
like the gorilla openly ate someone, like direct, like wow, like threw it up in the air and ate it. Like, what do you want?
Yeah. And like on that fight, like just saying out there, if my life ever goes down in crisis and the world is ending, I really hope I'm with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
me too.
Because
On
he's
the
the
dot.
luckiest man alive. He survives like unimaginable odds in this movie, and like every decision he makes works. He's like, we're gonna try this. We're gonna try and do this, and she's like, you're stupid. We're gonna die, and they live. It's just like
Multiple times.
yeah.
We're gonna die!
Probably.
All in all, I think this was a fun popcorn movie
Definitely.
to go to.
Definitely worth it.
Kind of wish the end fight was a lot longer, but you know, the end fight was pretty good. I really liked it, what they did. Like a lot of the action and stuff.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think the fights were pretty good, and I know how you had said that one thing you had hoped coming from just a monster fighting movie is that they would do some monster fighting in unique ways, and I feel like they did. That there was definitely a couple unique like shots
Yeah.
or grabs that were like, oh, like off guard and you didn't expect it. Besides traditional like from monster movies, so
Yeah.
I think it went really well, and it's definitely worth seeing in theaters. Family movie for sure. It's got The Rock in it, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
Family movie, but there's some weird sexual
There's some
jokes,
weird
so-
sexual jokes, but
we won't get
with
into
every
that.
Rock movie, there's a couple.
True. Well, that pretty much wraps it up here at the College Cinephile. Let us know if you saw Rampage or not. Like, comment, subscribe, you know. Thank you for joining us. That's always nice for you to come around to our channel. And we will see you next time.